For the first time in about 10 years, I decided to order some corals online. I much prefer to go to a reef shop myself, but since I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, I don't really have any other choice but to order online or drive all day to a shop. I am in a remote area, but it's still only about an hour and 20-minute flight to Toronto, so I didn't think it would be that big of a deal to get a shipment sent UPS Express. I had it sent to an access point since I live in a rural area and they won't necessarily make it there next day. This also limited the time the package would be on a truck and outside. Unfortunately, after the package was shipped, the plane suffered mechanical problems and never took off. So this is actually the next day. The UPS access point is in this semi-abandoned mall that's nicely decorated for Christmas. It was actually in a record store, and a UPS employee never even touched a package here. I had no idea, but UPS subcontracts out their work in smaller cities and towns, so it was a local courier company that handled the package. UPS itself wouldn't tell me where it was the first day, and then the second day, when I went to go pick it up, it had left in the air, so I got in the car. However, by the time I arrived at the access point, I refreshed the tracking and it said due to extreme weather, the package will not be delivered till the next business day, which would have been Monday, 3 days later. UPS were of no help, but I managed to track down the local courier company and they found the box, so I went back a second time the same day to get the package. Now that I'm home, the package had been in transit for about 50 hours and I'm about to open it up and see how everything fared. The good news is the heat packs are still hot. Let's see, the packaging is really good. Ooh, it does feel pretty cold actually. But it looks like the pallies at least are still alive. I'm gonna stop this video.
Stripping.
Unfortunately, it looks like these have melted in transit. The bag is also pretty cold. Looks like this acro is still alive. There's definitely some die-off at the base, but I'm gonna risk putting this one in the tank. So this is the next day. I stopped the video since it was just a huge mess with the corals all being effectively melted. I will throw in some photos to show how cloudy the water was. The big one here looks like it still has some flesh. That's because it was so badly melted I didn't bother even rinsing it off. Some of these, which I thought still had a chance, I would rinse them in tank water and the flesh would just come right off. Most of them had already melted completely off while in the bags. Out of the 9 Acropora frags I got, only one actually made it into the tank, and that one died overnight as well, so all of them ended up dying. It's really a shame. They were nice pieces. I'll insert some photos of the corals from the vendor, and the vendor is going to help me out a bit, even though this is 100% not their fault. The plane was delayed one day, the next day was weather. They were packaged perfectly. The heat pack was still going. Again, it looks like UPS stored the package overnight, either on the plane after it was broken or in a truck, or at the very least an unheated building. It's a real shame. I mean, it's a lot of lost money. This wasn't a crazy expensive shipment. These were not, you know, name brand corals that are $100 an inch. But for me to lose a couple $100, that's a lot of money, especially this time of year. And even though the vendor is not saying too bad, which they certainly could do and they wouldn't be in the wrong, it's going to cost him money, and that's not really fair to them either. I'm just filming this in the room I have my frag tank in. I would have never put them in here. This tank It's still a mess. There's a lot of hair algae because I'm still using that super old bulb. But I have started moving all these Kenya tree frags in here just to get them out of the tank. I did get 4 pally frags along with these acros. And 2 of them have opened up a bit, so there's the chance they may make it. The other 2 are still completely closed, but they haven't melted yet, so I'll give it a little bit more time. Well, until they melt, I'm not going to take them out. My concern is even the ones that have opened, they have some polyps that look in rough shape, and there's no way I'm going to attempt to cut off the healthy ones now, so they could still go, but I'm hopeful that they'll survive. The biggest downside is I already added 2 pieces of rock to my tank, which I'll go take a quick look at. This is with the phone, so the quality is not great. You can see there I glued this piece of rock in that even on the cell phone looks white. And then I have another piece of rock here where the new frags were primarily going to go. I would never normally show this, but I do have a frag rack in my tank until the frag tank is really ready for frags. That's the one acro that actually made it into the tank, but it's done, and you can't really see, but those are the pallies I bought. Some of these are my own frags. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. The biggest downside is I don't have new corals, and outside of going and driving 7.5 hours each way to get them myself, there doesn't really appear to be another way to get corals. I guess that's it for now. The reason why I haven't uploaded a video in a couple of weeks is also due to my location, as I exceeded my bandwidth for the month and the ISP charges me $5 a gigabyte after I go over my 100 gigabyte limit. So if I don't post videos for a while, it's because it's costing me money. Hopefully everyone's having better luck with their tanks than me. Now that it's a new month, I have some more archival videos to upload, so there'll be more videos in the future. Happy reefing.